Next, from Elk Grove, Illinois, Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth talks about issues coming up in Congress, including immigration reform and the Troop Talent Act. This runs about 12 minutes.
Hello and welcome to this month's edition of In the Grove. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, it's not every day that you have a very, very special guest like Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth from the 8th Congressional District come and visit us at our studios. We're very pleased to have Congresswoman Duckworth with us. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
I mentioned to you before when we sat down that I was amazed that you even had time based on what I've been reading about all the various projects that you're involved in.
I haven't done any Christmas shopping, so.
I can understand that, and everyone will just have to get over it, I guess.
Yeah, I think.
Tell us a little bit about why you're in Elk Grove, and tell us a little bit why Elk Grove, because this is an Elk Grove-based program, why Elk Grove is significant.
Well, Elk Grove is significant because it has the opportunity to lead manufacturing and our economy here, not just for the district, the 8th Congressional District, but also for the Chicagoland region, Illinois, and the entire nation. You know, Elk Grove is home to the largest industrial park in North America. It's here in Elk Grove Village.
For North America. In
North America, yeah. Also a large concentration of the tool and die manufacturers. And so for me, one of my priorities has been to reinvest in manufacturing, making sure that we grow our economy. And one of the best ways to do that is to focus on villages like Elk Grove, where you really have put in the effort to support businesses that bring dollars into the community and allow America to be competitive globally.
To be competitive globally, absolutely. And speaking of globally, there's some immigration work that's being done as well, because that goes hand in hand with populating the workforce.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, comprehensive immigration reform has several components to it, but on the economic side, about 18% of Illinois' workforce, Illinois' business owners are actually immigrants.
Really?
17% of the workers are immigrants also. And our businesses, whether they are, businesses have been around for a long time, or new businesses, really depend on these workers. Some of them are high-end, highly skilled H-1B visa types, and others are more manual labor workers. But the key thing is that these workers are needed for our economy. I would rather they have some sort of a legal status and we know where they are so that they're paying taxes.
So that's the basis of the act.
It's a pathway to citizenship.
Okay.
It's a guest worker program. It's a whole range of things. It's also getting those folks who are here undocumented to pay fees, fines, and penalties for having broken the laws to be here. I think that you need to learn English if you want to become a citizen of the United States, and that's part of it. But there's a Senate bill, there's a House bill that's more conservative, more border security. It's very comprehensive, but it is something that everyone from the ACLU to the Chambers of Commerce to religious leaders to police officers all support comprehensive immigration reform. It's really good for our nation. And also, it's predicted that it will bring $1 trillion back to America's economy over 20 years if we can pass it. Yeah.
That's a lot of money in a relatively short period of time.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of business owners, I read with interest, because of being a business owner myself, about the paperwork elimination.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. I thought that was intriguing, because actually paperwork forgiveness, isn't that what it is? Okay.
It's the Small Business Paperwork Reduction Act.
Okay.
It was my very first bill I introduced as a member of Congress.
Okay.
So before I introduced anything else, I did a bill for paperwork reduction. I found that in talking with businesses around the district that a lot of times small business owners really bear the burden of dealing with government. And sometimes that burden is I think it's too much. So what this bill would do is it would forgive the fees, fines, and penalties that federal government would charge a small business for just not doing your paperwork correctly the first time.
The first time.
Right. If you're dealing with the EPA, you're dealing with the FDA, you're dealing with the IRS, whoever it is that's a federal agency, if you don't do it correctly the first time, we shouldn't come down on you like a ton of bricks, right? Because you're trying your best, as long as it's not criminal, as long as it's not a safety or health violation, we should give you a chance to fix the problem. I know most business owners, in addition to being the CEO of your business, you're probably also the accountant, the HR manager, and the janitor at night and on weekends,
absolutely,
right?
positively, and I'm the IT guy as well sometimes.
And the IT guy, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And we should cut you a break because businesses, especially small businesses, are the engine of our economy.
Okay.
They're the ones who hire the most people. They're the ones who continue to innovate and grow and are really entrepreneurial. And so we should support our small businesses.
So we've talked about supporting the small businesses, and then we've talked about immigration and supporting the immigrant worker as well. And it seems as though you're looking from a global perspective with regard to what's occurring in places like Elk Grove, trying to make the pathway easier and more efficient along the way, and to look toward the future. I naturally will digress to education.
Yes.
And I want to talk about the STEM program just a little bit. Okay? Yeah. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, people know my military background, right,
Yes,
Tom?
of
And
course.
I want America to continue to dominate the world in terms of strength of our nation. And people often think of that as guns and tanks and helicopters,
Okay.
the military.
Okay.
But a key component of our nation's strength is our economy. And I want us to dominate the world in the economic sector as well. We're already the largest GDP. We need to continue to dominate. But the way we do that is to maintain our competitive advantage. And the way we do that is to invest in our children, is to invest in education. As we're investing in small business, we need to make sure that those small businesses have the workers who are trained, who are educated, who can go into those fields. And so I've really worked very hard to focus on STEM education, getting not just boys but girls involved in it as well. I've been working with the Girl Scout Council for this area, and they have a dozen different robotic teams for robotics competition, which are girls ages 9 to seniors in high school.
Isn't that great to see at that age? And
It's fantastic.
To see anyone interested that young in what is happening on a Girl Scout level, that's amazing.
It's fantastic. I want homegrown talent. I want that talent to be here. I don't want businesses to look around and say, I want to build robots or the next generation technology or software, and I have to go to South Korea to do it because we don't have the workers. We have them right here in Elk Grove Village. And we have the educational system right here in Elk Grove Village to support that and to provide those workers for that pipeline.
Speaking of homegrown talent, something jogged in my memory, and I want to go next to the Troop Talent Act.
Yes.
Because I think that's homegrown talent. And I think what I read about it, and I'm sure you can amplify, it's the first of its kind.
It is.
Okay.
It's another piece of legislation that I'm introducing. It's very bipartisan, just like my Small Business Paperwork Reduction Act. Right. That's actually Senator Vitter is introducing that in the House. I mean, in the Senate. And I'm introducing in the House. This Troop Talent Act, I have over 90 co-sponsors.
Wow.
Everyone from Maxine Waters to Joe Wilson. I'm
impressive.
co-sponsoring it with, introducing it with Representative Darrell Issa.
Okay.
And what it does, it requires the military to start finding the civilian certifications for members of the military for the jobs that they hold in the military from the first day they enter.
From the get-go.
From the get-go. Because
Okay.
right now they're waiting until 3 months before you get out. Oh, you're a medic in the Army. Here's information on how you can get your paramedics license. Not
Right.
You need to get them their paramedics license the first year that they're in the Army.
And have a 2-year jump from right, exactly. Okay.
Right, and this really came out of my husband went to.
I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah,
how
he deployed in the transportation with a transportation company in the Illinois National Guard, and they were running convoys between Iraq and Kuwait and Iraq. Okay. Getting shot at, and he had these Illinois National Guardsmen who were driving tractor trailers. Millions of over-the-road miles, combat miles, getting shot at, the same kind of tractor trailers and Mack trucks that you see driving up and down the roads. When they came home, they didn't have a CDL, and all those miles they drove did not count towards their experience when they tried to get a civilian job. So they had to start from square one, and they were shown on paper to be less experienced than someone who just did 2 weeks and got a CDL, and yet they drove and fixed trucks for 18 months in a combat situation.
So it's almost an efficiency program is
It
what
is.
it is when you think about it, and a streamlined program to move them forward. So while they're in the service and while they're actively deployed, they're going to use that experience after they get out in order to get some real world
Right.
opportunities for them, and it moves forward. Like I said before, it's amazing that you have. I hope you have time for Christmas shopping. It's wonderful.
I'd hate to be the person who shows up with just gift cards for everyone. So
I understand.
I'll hit
I
Main
understand.
Street. I'll hit the downtown. There's lots of good shopping here.
There is a lot of good
Yeah.
shopping in Elk Grove. And speaking of Elk Grove itself, I understand that you've had several conversations and meetings with Mayor Craig Johnson.
Yes, Mayor Johnson has been really fantastic. I've reached out to him. We're working on some infrastructure projects where where Elk Grove is applying for federal grants, and I'm going to try to help support that. Also, state grants. We also just announced that the National Endowment of the Arts, I'm going to make sure I get this right, just announced a $10,000 grant to the Anelia Sinha Foundation in Elk Grove, which promotes arts and culture of India. So that's coming in. And as people are applying for federal grants and the like, whether it's government, such as the mayor leading the program, or a not-for-profit, or a community group, or a church, or contact my office. We're happy to help you apply for those grants and write letters of recommendation, and let's get some more money, federal dollars coming back in here. You pay your taxes, you might as well get that money back.
You might as well have the money come
to the
back.
community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's ahead a little bit more for 2014? What do we have going on?
Well, 2014, I hope that we will work on a transportation bill.
Yes.
To really reinvest in our transportation infrastructure. We all have, throughout the district, bridges that need to be repaired, rail and road intersections that are dangerous. There is western access to O'Hare. We have to deal with those issues. We have to deal with noise issues for the expansion of O'Hare, and all of those things that involve everyone from the FAA to the DOT, Department of Transportation, and make sure that the dollars come here, but that we get these projects moving, and let's reinvest in our infrastructure.
So it doesn't sound like you're going to be doing very much at all during 2014. Do you haven't? My goodness
It keeps me
gracious.
out of trouble.
I was going to say, I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for being with us today. It was indeed an honor and a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Tom.
I wish you all the best for 2014.
Thank you.
Stick
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.